Two, one. Okay, and we are live. It's here, Attic and Skywalker, YouTube's chosen one. I'm here with my good friend Ryan Raut. He is in St. Louis right now. Ryan is a PhD neurobiology graduate student. Ryan, what is the situation where you are at right now?
Yeah, the situation is a little bit hectic and out of the ordinary for sure. So the place where I'm doing my PhD at Washington University is totally shut down. So we're all kind of, the undergraduates are taking courses online. All the graduate students, including myself, are doing research from home, basically. So there's a work from home order kind of for everyone.
Okay, cool. And that seems to be the case. It just keeps going and going. And do you know the statistics on cases in your county or in your city? Because you're in a big city right now, but fortunately it's not on the coast. So I'm sure it's already reached you though, right?
Right, it certainly reached us. Let me check the
Oh,
count as of today.
okay. I can pull it up if you just want to talk about your situation, unless you see if
Yeah,
you
I
can
mean
find the website. Yeah, but yeah, just keep
we
going, man.
we had a stay-at-home order issued for our St. Louis City area at last Monday. So since then, things have kind of died down
Mhm.
outside and such.
Okay. Yeah, it's been the
Yeah,
same for us. What do you think of the response from our leaders in this situation so far?
local.
Yeah, let's start local because that's probably what you know all best about right now. Yeah,
Yeah, I
in
mean,
St. Louis, how's it
locally
going?
things have kind of happened here as expected. So St. Louis and Missouri in general haven't necessarily been, ahead of the game on the measures that they've implemented, more so than anywhere else. Our stay-home order came pretty quickly after Illinois issued theirs, and obviously
Yeah,
they've had a lot of trouble, you know, with Chicago and all that. So
definitely.
they were one of the earlier states to implement something like that, and then St. Louis City area followed suit pretty soon after. Um, Washington University was decently quick in that our campus shut down before there was any, you know, we didn't know about any spreading or anything
Before the
like that going
invasion.
on campus or even really in the St. Louis City area before the campus shut down. But of course, this is something where if you wait for that to happen before you shut
It's
down
too
the
late.
campus, then it's already far too late. So,
Oh yeah.
so in that sense, we were ahead of the game. But on the other hand, uh, we certainly weren't the first university to do that. So from that perspective, we were actually probably a bit late.
Okay. Yeah. And I don't know. What about the national leaders as far as the reaction to this?
Oh boy, national leadership. I think there's been, I mean, I think there's no shortage of opinions that you can find online. I don't know if mine's any more valid than anyone else's. But my personal opinion is, this is something that we saw coming. There were a lot of red flags and appropriate action wasn't taken. And it's one of those things that it feels weird when you're doing it. It feels weird. It's necessarily going to feel like an overreaction no matter what you do, because this is something where, once you find out that there's a lot of spreading, once you find out there's a lot of people dying, etc., it's already far too late.
Right.
And
I
so,
agree.
you want to, and if all those things actually did work well, which is a best case scenario, all the preventative measures you're taking work well, then you're just gonna end up looking foolish to a lot of people because you said, oh look, we shut down this, we shut down that, we didn't even need to.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a kind of a catch-22 in that sense.
It really is, yeah,
And
exactly.
do you want to speak on, because you have a very good scientific background as a neurobiology student at it's Washington State in St. Louis, and we actually went to school together in Wisconsin before that. So, from the science point of view, is there anything that you can share, or do you have opinion as far as that goes?
From a science point of view, this is admittedly pretty far out of my background. So this is a lot to do with virology, immunology, and I'm kind of focused on neuroscience. But I will say maybe one thing that I think I've learned in my training in psychology, neuroscience, et cetera, is that people are, and this is well known, people are notoriously bad at having kind of intuition about things that are not linear. So, people talk about this being so far looking like exponential growth. And why do we have such a hard time realizing what that is and the danger of that? Why do, all the way up to, highest political offices, why
Right.
is it so hard to get a sense of how dangerous this is? And it's because we just don't really have very good intuition about things that don't vary linearly. So when I say linearly, I mean, if you look at the difference between 2x and 2 to the raised to the x, right, where x is, say, the number of days since you saw your first case or something like that, let's say you have 10 days, you wait 10 days, and so 2 times x, that's just 20 cases, right?
Mm.
Now 2
Yeah.
raised to the x, 2 raised to the 10th, that's what, over 1,000 now, 1,024.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, big difference, but it's really hard for us to kind of intuit that, even if just saying it, if you just say, oh, it doubles every 10 days, you think, okay, you go from 2 to 4, then the next day 8, like that's growing pretty slowly, but all of a sudden you see it just skyrocket. Oh, you didn't catch my arm there on the camera.
No, I got you.
Exponentially. And it looks like it comes out of nowhere, but the signs are already in place. We see this exponential trend, and so we kind of know that it's going to blow up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what's happening now. And,
Yeah.
a lot of people are surprised by it because the growth is, if you zoom in on any part of an exponential curve, it looks kind of linear, right? It looks, 2 to 4, looks like it's growing very slowly, and then all of a sudden it just explodes. And that's, unfortunately, we're right in the midst of that explosion right now, and so we can only expect that to get much worse in the coming days and weeks.
You know what's interesting is it seems to me the only people who are really afraid of it, and it does make sense on multiple levels, but are the in other countries are like basically the vulnerable ones, like the prisoners and the really poor, because you have in India, like there's like flocks of people running from the virus now. And I saw that on Twitter yesterday, just a video of it. And prisoners all over the world are, they've been rioting in multiple countries. They're growing very restless because they know it's coming. And it seems to me that that's not the case in the first world. There's almost no radar for danger, like because we haven't had to use it in so long that it's broken or not even working on many people. What do you think?
Right, totally. I think there's also kind of, there's a feeling of invincibility, certainly, that plays a big role in a country like this. The U.S. also obviously has kind of a reputation for its arrogance, and we're seeing the negatives of that
Definitely.
playing out right
Man.
now. Another thing is we're very anti-authoritarianism, right?
For sure.
And one challenge that comes with that attitude is that we haven't really seen, that we haven't really dealt with as much in the past, but now we're really struggling with it, is that people have a hard time all coming together and saying, the government is telling us to do this, that we should all do this. People are kind of like, you know what, I'm free to go outside, I'm free to work, I'm free to do all these things that I normally would do because it's a free country. And the government isn't going to step in and say you absolutely can't do these things,
Right.
especially at the federal level. They're not going to do that. But you see some of these countries that have done a better job of containing it. People are kind of more on board to just do those things for the good of everyone. And I think that's kind of contributing to
either because they don't have a choice or because they understand maybe the risk and the danger more so than we do, because these types of plagues, they don't really originate in this part of the world. They start on the other side of the world, or they start in often Asia, right? Central Asia or Europe is historically where they've wreaked havoc. like the bubonic plague, the second wave, was just ridiculously lethal. And I don't know, what do you think about the possibility of mutation? Because in the Spanish flu in 1919, the second wave, the virus mutated and actually became more deadly for young people because our immune systems are so powerful and so robust. They would actually produce so much mucus, they would drown in their mucus. Whereas people who weren't in that demographic of, I think it was basically 20 to 40 or 20 to 35 was most of the deaths for the second one. And for pregnant women, it was 100% fatality rate. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I don't.
I think you're more qualified than you realize it, Ryan. Ryan is probably certainly smarter than me. We played chess together, and he picked up really quickly, and he already beat me like very, very fast. So Ryan is a smart dude. He's been studying this for several years now, and I do think you have an opinion that holds some weight, man. More so than maybe not everybody, of course, but a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say is, there is obviously a history of, and always a possibility of viruses like this mutating, and then of course it becomes even more dangerous. Specifically, they're going to mutate, and due to natural selection, that's going to favor certain properties of the virus that make it more difficult for us to contain and eventually eradicate. If that's remote. If there's a remote possibility of that. I don't know the likelihood that this specific virus will exhibit that property, but yeah, I'm not sure if anyone has too strong of opinions at this early stage. I know that up to this point, people are happy that we haven't seen any real evidence for that. But I guess it's something that might happen in the future, and I guess we'll have to cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the probability is always there, but it might mutate into something weaker as well, which I learned yesterday. And it is mutating, as these things do constantly, and it's mutating at the same rate as others, but the variability of mutation, as far as I understand it, I talked to this doctor from Harvard like 2 or 3 days ago, and he's saying that because of basically changes in the molecular structure, there is a higher degree of mutation ability, or I guess what would you call it? A higher degree of combinations or permutations. I'm not really sure. It's been a while since I took breakouts, but I think you understand what I'm saying, because of the fact that it has multiple changes to it at the viral and molecular level.
Yeah, that's again getting pretty far out of my area.
I guess my purpose with sharing this is to get people to take it a little more seriously, because I don't know, what are people in your area, because you live near a lot of young people. I visited you a couple of years ago. How are they behaving? Are they behaving responsibly? Are they taking it seriously? Are they telling authorities to go F off, or what's that like?
It's really a mixed bag, which is kind of unfortunate at this point.
Same.
I want to say that a lot of the students here have kind of taken after the tone set by the university, which is, let's be serious about quarantining, staying at home, etc. But I just went on a run through the park this morning, and there were tons of people out and about, still socializing, and it was better today than a few days ago. A few days ago, actually, I was still seeing people in groups, and you would never guess that there was any type of stay-at-home order going on, right? I mean, you'd never guess it. And today was a bit better. It certainly looked like there was a lot less of that, but there were still a lot of people out and about, much more than you would expect for a stay-at-home order. So, it's a mixed bag. Among the students, I think people tend to be getting more serious about it. But as far as younger people not affiliated with the university and stuff like that, I think there's still a lot of people who don't really appreciate, it just feels weird to them still. Like, we don't see massive spreading going on in St. Louis. We don't see a ton of people dying. Why are we doing all these like why are we taking all these drastic measures? And again, the problem is that by the time it feels like this is commensurate with what's actually going on,
It's going to be
it's
way
far,
too late.
far too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a tidal wave. By the time you hear
Right.
it and see it, all you can do is try to run, right? I mean,
Right,
and fight
right.
it, right? So, yeah, thanks, Ryan, for sharing this information with us. Did you have anything else you wanted to share with people? Because I'm in the same situation with you, basically, where I'm in a county and a city where there's only a few cases, which is great, you know, because I'm so close to Seattle, which is one of the hot spots. But yeah, same thing. You kind of see a spectrum of behavior, and it does seem to be getting better. I haven't gone out. I went out to get groceries. Well, I guess today's Sunday, right? Yeah, so I guess it was last week now. But that was it, you know. But I do, you know, I go outside just to get some sunlight and stuff like that too. But as far as like, you know,
important.
being around other people or you know, adhering to this these guidelines, I'm trying to really stick to it, because yes, I may not die, but yeah, I can infect like 50 people, you know.
And that's the part that, I think a lot of people are struggling with. There's a lot of people, you know, young people, but then even also old people. You hear some of them saying, you know, let's, you know, the rest of you guys maybe keep the country up and running. We'll take care of ourselves. It was said by right, and I think the point people are missing is that, one, you know, this is all probabilities, right? So there's no
Yeah,
guarantee that I
yeah.
don't contract this thing and, you know, end up having a severe bout and have to be hospitalized, et cetera. And even, you know, people are dying our age.
Mm, yeah.
So am I less likely to die than someone who contracts it when they're 80 years old? Of course.
Mm,
But that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And the other thing is, exactly as you said, you know, you can catch this thing. You may never know. You could never exhibit symptoms, or
mm.
even if you do, typically there's several days latency, and so you could be out and about infecting, you know, tons of people. Don't
Tons
even
of
realize it,
vulnerable
and then
people,
you're
people who
contributing
may
to
not
that.
survive, like maybe you or I have a better
Exactly.
chance to do so. Yeah.
Exactly. And no one can completely secure themselves from it. So you can say, you know, why don't people at risk really lock themselves up? And, you know, for the most part, I think they are, but there's only so much you can do. And we're not helping if we're still spreading it and contributing to that exponential growth that we're seeing.
Yeah. And related to basically the exact thing you said earlier, I call it like the double-edged sword of democracy or liberty, where you can't make people, you know, lock up. So it has to be a decision that comes from the people, I think, to
Right,
look for
exactly. And that's
the
why it's
greater good.
important. Right. And that's why it's so important for people to understand why we need to do these things and why, you know, even if you're young, you need to stay home.
Word. Well said, Ryan. Well, I hope you are staying safe, hygienic, and all that. And it's just, no, you have one roommate, right? So it's just you two?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are quarantining in our apartment.
Awesome. And you're lucky too, because you can do work at home. So
Yeah, I have that benefit, you know, other people, or, you know, some people might look at it as a curse, right? If if there's stuff you can do at home.
depends on who you ask.
I happen to like what I do, so it's kind of I'm happy about it. But
Awesome.
yeah, I think in general, a lot of people are using the time also to get into new hobbies or hobbies that they had abandoned along the way. So I think it's a good opportunity for a lot of people.
I agree. Yeah, I think in the
Less
long
negative
term,
than, yeah,
be
right.
a positive, a boon. I think we're going to rally together and beat it. But it is still a highly salient situation with many possible outcomes because of the fact that so many variables go into affecting it. You know.
Right. I mean, this is totally uncharted territory for everyone,
Mm,
and you know, there's no predicting how exactly it'll play out.
right.
Simple as that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan. Do you have any socials that you want to plug in the description or means to contact you, or not really? I mean, I suppose most of your time is spent doing neurobio and not talking about stuff on the internet.
Yeah, I'm not really big on social media, as you know, ads, but you
Definitely.
can, you know, feel free to share my email address and all that.
No, that's okay. If you don't want it, just
No, for
let me
sure.
know, dude. It's quite all right. But if anybody does want to get in touch with Ryan or has questions for him, just let me know in the comments below, Ryan. I really appreciate the time, bro. And we should definitely
Yeah,
play a
thank you
chess
for
game or two. Yeah,
asking
no
me
problem. Of
to
course, man.
thank you for doing this. It's good that you're doing this. I think a lot of people need to hear these things. So
Awesome. Thanks, man. So without further ado, guys, that is all for this reporting from St. Louis. Ryan Raut, PhD neurobio graduate student on the coronavirus outbreak. Everyone stay safe, sanitize, cover your face, and please take these social distancing guidelines seriously. Thank you and have a great day. Ciao, Ryan. Peace.
yeah, thanks.